but we haven't found who God wants you to be and what God has actually called you for, and what has God actually assigned you for on earth. We haven't found the purpose of our existence, and with that, you then automatically presume that since the gift is there, then the gift becomes, whereas we also need then to be tutored around how does, or the alignment of your gift and your purpose. You also need to be taught on the importance of understanding your calling. You need to be tutored around the understanding of the purpose of the gift in your life, and why it is in your life, and what it's going to do in your purpose. In all honesty, not all of us are going to go into ministry. That's the honest truth. In fact, not all of us are even needed in ministry. I best believe that some of us need to specialize in certain parts of the ministry. We need to specialize with the gifts that God has given us to actually equip the church and edify the church, as the Bible put it, and not precisely or actually to start a certain thing, And I guess that one of the things that also contributed. But the greatest and the biggest thing is that, God's timing is never in our own way. God's timing is by far different from our own timing. And for me, I definitely believe that one of the things back then, it was timing. I was fired up, I was energetic, I was ready, I was get set, and I went for it. I travel as a car, and I went for it, and I went full in, immature as I was. But one thing kept me, the love I had, for ministry, or for the Lord rather, because all of my life, I never, in all honesty, I never loved being in ministry, because I saw my father's journey, I saw my father's journey, and his journey was never a pleasing one. It was never the glitz and glam that we see now with most pastors. It wasn't with him. He was from those old school type of people, and with that, it gave me an ordeal that wasn't good with ministry. So what made me to enter ministry was the love I have for the Lord more than the ministry. But what made me to end up in ministry and settling for it was the love that I have for serving and working for the people of God, and seeing someone coming in to know Christ, because I saw it for myself in my own journey, where a PK actually lives this thing not just because it's a family thing, but because it's a personal decision and a personal lifestyle that you take for your own life and your own self. So those were the reasons that actually got me into it, even though I did not have that much love for it. It was the love I had for Christ. And with a lot of other things that I just mentioned earlier on the video, they then were other extension building up to actually taking the decision. The point that I was also going into making before explaining what I just finished explaining is that some of us have mixed God's timing. The fact that you're called, it does not mean that now you should go straight into ministry. I'll say that again. The fact that you know that you are called, it does not mean that you should go into ministry. A lot of us need a lot of equipping before they go to ministry. Even Jesus didn't just go to ministry. He first had to be prepared, to be equipped. After being prepared and equipped, he had then to be assigned, and he had to then start doing that assignment. And a lot of us skip that stage of being prepared, and we go straight to being assigned. And again, I understand why it happens. It goes back to the first point I made. We want validation. We want to be that confirmation, that affirmation that says, indeed you are called. And the honest truth, to the most of us who are immature and not taught properly, we then presume that what validates that it is the invites that are going to come in and me being a regular in the pulpit, whereas that's not what validates it. It is God using you and walking through you wherever you are. Because this thing of being called is not a pulpit thing, but it is a personal thing and a lifestyle thing. It is the life that you live on your daily basis. It's not something that you do in that certain event or in that certain space or in that certain pulpit. Meaning, we need to be equipped for the life we are going to live in ministry or in our calling, not to be prepared for the pulpit or that 45 minutes that we're given at church, And I guess that's where it all, But God being faithful and God actually taking everything to work together for the good, the impact that it had on the year 2015 is still felt still today, because God is faithful to all of us. We are the ones who are always in trouble, God is always faithful. There are people till today who still ask me, why are you not continuing with the movement, And I really don't know how to answer. I really don't know how to answer, because I won't say I'm praying about it, because I'm not. I don't want to lie, But what I feel is that I'm now at the point where I've discovered my purpose and know my calling and understand the alignment between my purpose and my calling, And a lot of us, because of the gift and because of the purpose, we sometimes find ourselves mixing the two or twisting the two or even making the two to conflict. I personally believe that we are all special. I don't believe that generalist can become a specialist, because a generalist generalize, And I don't think that God is a generalist. No, he's not. Our God is a specialist. You can see with everything he does. It is precise, it is excellent, and it is pleasing, It is all good. That's what he said when he created, because he knew that by me creating this, it is for a purpose. In other words, when God creates something or someone, he created that person to come and fulfill a purpose, And if we could understand that we are unique, God might give us the same tools, but we are not going to use them the same way, because we are unique, are set apart, We are made by a specialist that understands our functioning and purpose, There are a lot of prophets in the Bible, but not all prophets are the same. Even their journey, even their calling, even their way of work, their way of communicating with the Father is not the same. It is definitely not the same. And with that comes then this thing that says, the fact that you have a similar gift to someone, it doesn't mean you function in the similar way. It just means that the gift is similar. It will function then in alignment to the purpose that God has given you. And for me now, I've discovered my purpose. I know what God has called me to do, and I'm really clear about it, and I'm now more intentional and more fruitful in the place of my true calling. I'm reminded when God created Adam, in the book of Genesis chapter 2 from verse 15 going down. When God created man, he then placed him in the garden that he had created for him. In other words, most times God creates your place before he creates you. You come into the place of your purpose, or where you will then unleash what God has given or instilled in you, And a lot of us can't even find that place of unleashing our purpose and, unleashing the things that God has instilled in us, And that also tells us that we are equipped for where we are heading. God has pre-equipped us. He has pre-installed everything that we need for that certain place. Hence, coming back to answering the question that says, why are you then born where you're born? Why were you raised in the family that you were raised in? Why are you the person you are? Why is your mother and father the people that they are? Why are they possessing the character that they are? Why were you raised the way you were raised? Because you were equipped. All of these things and circumstances, if they are circumstances, they are fashioning and uprooting in you the person that God wants you to be, in your place of purpose and destiny. In you they are provoking the person God wants you to be. It is then I understand that. It is then I'm content with the love that God has for me individually. It is then where I understand, that God wants to have a relationship with me first before he has a relationship with me and the people around me and winning them for him. It is then where I'm at a point where I'm comfortable, and I'm certain that I'm called and I'm special in Him, and what I say, and when I pray to Him and I talk to Him, He actually listens to me because I'm one of His child. I no longer think that He won't, or he will listen to me even better because there's that title around me, or there's that thing that says, I'm so and so around me. But He'll listen to me because I'm His son. Yeah, I'm actually a citizen in the kingdom. I'm one of His. And a lot of us need to wake up to that realization that yes, you're gifted, you're called, but wait for the right time where God will actually unleash you to the world. You need to allow Him to work you so that He could work through you. A lot of us want God to work through us, yet we haven't been worked for Him to work through us. Remember that God can never trust what He hasn't tested. Everything that has been tested can then be trusted, And a lot of us have now understood the thing of God as merely as being truthful when the vision then provides provision. Yes, the vision has to provide provision, but also we need to understand that before the vision gets to that point, the vision also needs to be tested for the time. It needs to be tested for the people who are relevant to it. It needs to be tested for the person who's conveying it. It needs to be equipped and fashioned. Then it could, and it's similar to when you're planting in the garden. You won't reap the same time you planted. You need to nurture the garden. You need to, here's the actual and the true purpose of planting. You plant a seed, and then there's time, then you reap. It is not planting and reaping. No, it is planting and nurturing and time, then reaping what you've planted. And you'll never reap what you haven't planted. You will never reap what you haven't planted. You reap what you sowed. And these are just general things that we overlook. Let me end there for now, and I hope that what I've shared so far, it is enlightening, it is helpful, and it actually empowers someone. It inspires someone, and it definitely equips. Know that I love you and I appreciate you, and thank you so much for tuning in. If you need me to do the second part of this video where I talk about this thing, maybe you have questions or anything, let me know down below in the comment section. I'll definitely come back and we'll talk more about this thing. I think we need to have such conversations, and if ever you feel like adding something to this, definitely let me know and we'll talk about it. Be blessed.